Reconnect and heal today. Welcome to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, broadcasting in 136 countries and also broadcasting live now on YouTube. And also Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Network's television. So today I have an eye-opening show for you on how to improve your shut-eye. We're going to talk about what happens in the brain when you sleep, what happens if you don't get enough sleep or if you sleep at the wrong times, how sleep deprivation from shift work causes impaired cognition, mental attention, metabolic issues, diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. And of course, most importantly, we're going to tackle what you can do to get a better night's sleep for recovery, mental performance, health, and well-being. My guest today, you are starting to know well, is Sanderson, founder and CEO of Elektra Magnesium skincare and muscle care products. She has a Bachelor's of Arts degree with a specialty in marketing and business. And after years of chronic stress and deadlines, she developed severe heart arrhythmias and a health crisis that she resolved with transdermal magnesium. And this led her to the development of a natural magnesium delivery system with products for all ages. So Sandy, welcome back. Hello.
Hello, Jamie.
So nice to be with you.
It's good to be here at 4 a.m. in the morning for me.
I know. So we said before we went live, you are not asleep when you should be asleep, and we all know it, but we said it's okay because it's only, once in a blue moon, right? So
that's right. I do it for you.
and everyone else listening and watching is very grateful that you're doing it.
Absolutely. We're in a global world, so I guess we have to get used to lots of different time zones.
Right. You have to buy more toothpicks to keep your eyeballs open.
Yeah.
Right. So talk about why lack of sleep is so dangerous.
Well, the body needs to rest and recover from all the activity of the day. And I don't think we give sleep enough respect, really. It sounds pretty easy. Well, just get enough sleep. But a lot of people have issues with sleep, or they try and resist sleep, or they think it's not really so important, and sleep to some people is a waste of time. So for a lot of reasons, people are not getting enough sleep today for sufficient rest and recovery, and that then can lead to illnesses. So according to the CDC, I'm just quoting here, adults who are short sleepers, so they consider less than 7 hours sleep, short sleep, in a 24-hour period, were more likely to report being obese, physically inactive, and current smokers compared to people who got enough sleep. And serious chronic health conditions can follow from chronic lack of sleep, including diabetes, heart disease, stroke, arthritis, asthma, lung disease, kidney disease, depression, and even cancer. So sleep disturbances are also related to aging and age-related neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So we get a lot of problems following sleep deprivation. And I think I call them sleep vitamins. If you don't get enough sleep vitamins, well, your body starts to break down.
All right, so Sandy, let me ask you something. I read a piece of research some years ago, which I thought was very counterintuitive. The research said that they did this longitudinal study of people who slept 5 hours a night. And they found that these people lived longer. And they couldn't tell whether it was because they were healthier people and they were in such good health and did such a good job of repairing and detoxing that they actually didn't need so much sleep, and that the people who slept more lived less long, perhaps indicating they're unwell and they need more sleep. This made no sense to me.
No, and it doesn't apply to the average. So there are other studies which show on average, and particularly that there was a nurse's study because a lot of nurses do night shift, and sometimes they don't catch up on all the sleep that they need, and they may only get 5 hours. Anyway, they found that there was a higher propensity to develop obesity, that 5 hours was definitely not enough. Now, having said that, there is a smaller subsection of the population which can get away with lower hours. And if you meditate during that 24-hour period, if you get enough meditation in and your brain waves come down to slower brain waves, you can compensate for not having full sleep enough. Because it's all about the cycles of the brain waves coming down to slower cycles, which gives us a chance to rest and recover. And we can do that sitting up meditating as well. In fact, I did a few years ago a Vipassana meditation course. It's a 10-day course, and you meditate all day for 8 or 9 hours. And I got to sleep at night. So after about the third day, it's a 10-day course, after the third day, I was not sleeping. I was lying down in my bed, and I felt like I was awake the whole night, but the whole night it seemed like just minutes to pass, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't actually getting knocked out. And I asked one of the helpers there, I thought it was very curious. I'd never had that experience before ever. And she said, oh, well, that's normal. That's because you've been meditating all day and your mind is already rested. So when you go to your bed and lie down, all you're doing is allowing your physical body to catch up with your brain.
Oh, how fascinating. Now, what about napping? Can that?
Yes, power naps are also very, very helpful. So they call a power nap around about 20 minutes, a little bit more or less, so less than half an hour. That's when you go into a lighter sleep, but it's enough to give you a little bit of a top up. So if you start early in the morning, you have your lunch, you might have during your lunch break, take off somewhere in a quiet place and have a half an hour power nap. Also, if you're driving in long distances, power naps help a lot. The truckies that do long distance driving at night, that's how they make it through. They do little power naps.
Right.
And it does help, but it only takes you through the first couple of sleep cycles. And they've found that people who don't go through all the full sleep cycles, so you have a set of cycles which are slow wave, and then you have that's non-REM, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and then you have rapid eye movement sleep. And each set of cycles passes through about 90 minutes. Rapid eye movement sleep is about 25%, and the other kind of slow wave sleep is about 75% of those 90-minute cycles. And every night we go through about 5 or 6 90-minute cycles. And experiments have shown if they stop people from fulfilling that full 90-minute cycle, like stop them before they get to the REM and just do the first few light sleep cycles, that they malfunction, they get very sick, very ill. And when they did it on rats, the rats died after a month.
Right.
So animals, humans, everyone needs sleep.
You know the book From Fatigue to Fantastic, Teitelbaum's book? He ran a study of healthy 19-year-old men. No fatigue, no health problems, no fibromyalgia. And they ran the study where they just poked them so that they were not going into deep sleep. And they did it periodically. Within, I think, about a week, they all had chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. So they concluded that these fatigue syndromes and fibromyalgia syndromes were the result actually of a sleep disorder,
Yes, that's when we're not getting a deep enough sleep and going through all the cycles. So when you go to sleep, there's a very light stage, where your brain waves slow down to alpha. So that's about 8 to 12 hertz. And you could still be a little bit awake, that twilight zone, just like super relaxed. You're sort of drifting. That's stage 1. And then stage 2 is a little bit of a deeper. That's when you sort of lose your consciousness. And that means the brainwave cycles are getting slower and the amplitude is increasing. And then you get to a third stage. They used to call it stage 3 and 4, but they amalgamated now, which is a really deep sleep. So you've gone from alpha, then stage 2 theta, then you go to a delta sleep, that's 1 to 4 hertz. But every so often you have some spikes, they call them spindles. And it's this third stage of the slow wave that's the real deep, deep, deep sleep. And it's got really high and low slow waves. They oscillate very, very slowly and deeply, and you can actually have dreams at this stage, which is quite interesting. The dreams are basically reviewing experiences that you've had, and the scientists believe this is the part of the sleep cycle where we learn, or we embed our learnings deeper and deeper into our memory. So that's why it's a kind of review. And it's funny, when they've done rat studies, they can now implant electrodes into the brain, and they can see what's going on in the rat brain and what they're dreaming. So they set up an obstacle course during the waking hours and set the rat up and down the obstacle course to find the end. And during the dream that night, the brain retraced the obstacle course of the track that they'd set, but 10 times faster. And it went forwards and backwards, like forward and then rewind and forward and rewind. And very, very quickly, it's almost like the review then embedded the memory deeper into the brain. Quite fascinating. But then when it was time for the REM, so the rapid eye movement, so this is a part of the sleep where the brain activity lifts up higher and it gets to as energetic as if you were awake, but you're asleep, and your muscles are immobilized, so you can't move your arms and legs. So your heart still beats and other things still works, but the body shouldn't be acting out its dreams when you're in your REM, which it does with some people. When that system malfunctions, you can go sleepwalking. You can walk out to the fridge and open the door and eat and have a snack at night and still be asleep. And
I heard somebody say he was strangling his wife. So it's like, talk about residue from the day, because in our sleep and in our dreams, Freud said that we work on the residue of the day. So whatever's unresolved or any feelings that we buried. So, I want to strangle the bitch, during the day, and in my sleep, I'm strangling her,
So the REM sleep, the function, scientists believe, is more to work out your emotions. And so it can be really bizarre and strange kind of dreaming. It's like nothing makes sense. But you might feel fear. It might be even a nightmare, or it might be all sorts of emotions and mixed up things happening. And so normally what should happen is that your arms and legs are paralyzed and you can't move. And you go through that REM and sort those things out. But with some people, and this is where problems arise, the mechanism malfunctions, and they can still get up and move their arms and legs and beat up the partner they're sleeping with.
I've just remembered something. I heard that in Chinese medicine, when you have nightmares, especially between 3 and 4 at night, they consider it a liver congestion or toxicity, that there's an actual physiological as opposed to just psychological working through, that the nightmares at that time are related to the liver toxicity. And in French society, they often say you'll get nightmares if you have some kind of indigestion. So what do you think about these two ideas?
Yeah, well, they're all really forms of stress. So if you have indigestion, it's always connected with stress. So when you're stressed, your digestive system doesn't work very well. We need to be in a relaxed, they call it parasympathetic mode, which is a grazing rest and relaxed state in order for the digestive system to work very well. And if you are on hyper and stressed a lot and you don't have enough magnesium to help you calm down, then you're going to be stuck in that stress state, and you're not going to give your digestive system enough chance to digest the food properly, because you're always ready to run from the lions. You know, if your adrenaline and cortisol is pumping from the stress, you're putting energy into your limbs, your muscles. You're ready to go at any time, and so there's less blood around the digestive system, less oxygen being delivered, less nutrient going there, just less energy and resources devoted to digestion. So when we want to digest properly, we need to sit down in a calm space, certainly not have any arguments over the dinner table,
right,
and make a pact with your family. No problems, no stresses, no discussions about anything stressful at the table whilst you're eating. Like we must respect sleep, we must also respect the way we eat, how we eat, and the,
yes,
our state of being in a relaxed state when we eat. It's really important to digestion.
Speaking of the excess cortisol, to pick up on that for a second, you know, when they do the 24-hour urine-free cortisol studies to look at how the adrenals are functioning. You know, people who have adrenal dysfunction and chronic fatigue, you know, chronically fatigued adrenals, we often see that the cortisol is very low in the morning, so there's no energy, and it's very, very high at night. And so they can't sleep because the cortisol's up, right?
Yes, that's right. So the adrenals release both adrenaline and cortisol. So the cortisol is more like it's a revving neurotransmitter that tells the pancreas to release insulin, and which must accompany your blood sugar to get into the cells for the mitochondria that make our ATP, our energy currency. So all that metabolism relies on the stimulation of cortisol to get that energy system going. And so whereas adrenaline is more, it gives everything power. It has a relationship with calcium, quick firing. So when you need to put a lot of fast, powerful energy into the muscles, into the heart pumping, you've got to get the adrenaline pushing the calcium into the cells. The magnesium comes out, the muscle fibers squeeze together, ready for the push, ready to run away from the lions. And then when it's time to relax, when you're in a safe space, the magnesium goes back in, the calcium comes out, and also water goes back into the cell, it reinflates, and you can relax the muscles again. Whew, the danger's over. So all the time, these switching mechanisms happen quite quickly, but when they start to malfunction, if we are overstressed and we don't have enough magnesium, we don't have enough resources to go back into the rest and recover state, we can stay stuck. And this then causes a recurring cycle. And when we sleep at night, so your cortisol level should rise in the morning as the sun comes up, and ready for action, because during the day we're walking around, we've got work to do, we've got lots of stuff to do, we need our energy up. And as the day progresses and it gets into night, the cortisol level should decrease, and as cortisol and adrenaline decrease, we move into a different zone where the pineal gland makes melatonin. And as the night progresses and we sleep and we go more and more into our sleep cycles, the pineal releases more melatonin. And melatonin is really powerful antioxidant, helps clean up all the debris in the brain. And so those stress hormones are like a seesaw with the melatonin. If your stress hormones are up and haven't subsided, your pineal gland's not going to release the melatonin for you to get into a deep sleep, to get those lovely amplitude of brainwaves, slow brainwaves where you're recovering. And by the way, your slow brainwave cycles, those 90-minute cycles between non-REM and REM sleep, it creates a rhythm, and they found that the cerebral spinal fluid flows rhythmically through the brain. It washes through the brain, and this has like a cleaning up effect in the brain. And as we get older and age, that happens less effectively. We get less washout, and so if the worse it gets, the closer we get to dementia and Alzheimer's, because we're not cleaning away the debris.
your brain does less washout as you age, and then your memory becomes more and more of a washout. That expression in English, a washout, means thumbs down, it doesn't work.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about cleaning up the mess.
No, I was just doing a word play. Washout, you don't get the washout, and you're a washout. It's a washout.
Oh, yes, very good.
Okay. So
it's too early in the morning for me to get jokes.
But I think it's an American expression, not a British English expression. So what does somebody do who has this imbalance, high cortisol at night, not enough pineal gland stimulation of the melatonin? What do you do?
We'll just backtrack a little bit because it's all related to metabolism. So metabolism slows down when the brain waves slow down. We're in sleep, we're in the sleep cycle. We can't be revved up. We have to like really be super relaxed. And what makes us feel sleepy is very interesting. It's the buildup of adenosine. So when your cells make energy, so the mitochondria make little ATP, energy currency, I call them batteries, cellular batteries, and they use magnesium to make that ATP, and ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. So it's adenosine attached to 3 phosphate molecules, and that's like a charged up battery. And then when we spend the energy, the battery discharges and the phosphates come off. So we have this residue of adenosine that builds up in the extracellular spaces, and adenosine makes us more sleepy. And as the day progresses, so the more exposed we are to the daylight and activity together, so that means we've gone through a high rate of metabolism, the more adenosine builds up, and that makes us sleepy because that triggers the nitric oxide to
Wait a minute. I got to take a break.
Okay.
I'm going to have a power nap and build up my adenosine. We'll be back in a moment. All
Okay.
right. Hold the thought. Hi, it's Dr. J.B. Turndorf here. Are you feeling stressed, tense, jumpy, jittery, anxious, or having panic attacks or angry outbursts or disturbed sleep? Are you worried that you or someone you love is going to get sick or even die? Are you depressed and feeling hopeless like the world is coming to an end? Or are you suffering aches and pains or stiff muscles, low energy, or falling into self-damaging or addictive behaviors like binging on junk food, the internet, or TV, or abusing drugs or alcohol, or not eating right, or exercising, feeling like, what's the point? If you said yes to any of my questions, you are likely suffering what I call the global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. Don't despair. My energetic system upgrade is your rescue remedy for the panic epidemic that is plaguing our world. The energetic system upgrade has already helped some of today's top leaders. Now you can experience your own energetic system upgrade healing transformation. To find out more and to schedule your session, visit drjamieturndorf.com/energetic system upgrade. That's Dr. Jamie Turndorf, TURNDORF.com/energetic system upgrade.
Love Never Dies is now on the Dream Vision 7 radio network every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love, is the #1 international best-selling author of Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, tune in and find out how to reconnect and heal any unfinished business using Dr. Turndorf's groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique. Visit AskDrLove.com to find out more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you yearn to get along better with your life partner or spouse, friends, family members, and even coworkers, Dr. Turndorf's book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 Simple Steps to Cooling Conflict and Rekindling Your Relationship, shows you how to turn conflict into connection for a lifetime of lasting love. Find out more about Kiss Your Fights Goodbye at AskDrLove.com. This is Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. This show is for you, the listener. Once again, here's Dr. Turndorf.
Hello again, and welcome back to Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks TV. I'm talking with Sandy Sanderson about how we can get some decent shut-eye. And I had to phase out there for a moment to take a break. So, and I interrupted your sleep cycle and your speech cycle. So come back.
Yeah, so we were talking about the buildup of adenosine, which is a kind of a waste product from metabolism. So we make other waste products too. So adenosine is more from oxidative phosphorylation, so that's oxygen metabolism. But if you eat sugars and it's anaerobic and you don't use oxygen, you make more lactic acid. So all of these waste byproducts.
I think for people listening, what to translate that into lay terms, what you're saying is that people who are sugar burners, who fuel on carbs rather than fueling on fat, they have waste products. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, more so.
More waste.
Sugar metabolism causes a higher level of acidic byproducts. So all of these build up with metabolism, and as the day progresses, and if you've ever wondered why you even yawn, why your eyelids get heavy, and you can't, you feel like you just want to stretch and walk around, you're trying to stay awake. What is it that makes you yawn? You need more oxygen. So that's the body you're trying to fight sleep at that stage by getting more oxygen to drive up metabolism. So when you're fighting sleep, you want to lift your cortisol and adrenaline to stave off. And if you have a cup of coffee doesn't do anything to the waste products, but it does negate the effect of the adenosine, and you get an injection of stress hormones coming back in from the caffeine. Caffeine lifts adrenaline, so you can stretch it out a little bit longer that way, but your toxic residues from metabolism are still building up, so you're just masking it and creating a bigger problem and a bigger need to sleep down the track. So you can't really cheat at the end of the day. Your circadian rhythms will win always. They've done sleep studies, and people who are 17 to 19 hours sleep deprived start to get a similar grogginess about them, like they're drunk, like they've got 0.1 alcohol in the blood. Constant sleep deprivation can end up being in the body like a cocaine junkie, always on uppers, and then not the nervous system just gets frazzled. You just fry yourself. It's constant revving, and not enough chance to sleep and rest and recover for the system to rebuild itself.
Right.
So people who so we need resources for this balance to come back. So for you to get a good night's sleep, it's not only just to allocate the hours, which is important, and the right environment. And it helps if you have a very dark room and you don't have any electrical appliances plugged into your bedroom somewhere, because all of these background influences are stimulating, and they may be too stimulating for the sensitive pineal gland. So you wanted to release the melatonin. You want to make everything calm, relaxed in your sleeping environment, really conducive to a good sleep. And it's always recommended to have a magnesium foot soak if you're having trouble sleeping, because just before sleep, you can fill up with the magnesium. The magnesium actually helps recharge your batteries. Remember, I was talking about the ATPs for the mitochondria. Magnesium helps the adenosine return to the mitochondria and be recharged with the phosphates and turn back into ATP, ready for firing.
You're saying that the magnesium simply, I'm just sort of simplifying into the lay language, the magnesium helps you to detox. By firing, your body can dump. That's what you're saying, dump the toxins.
That's right. Yeah. Everything to do with metabolism and recovery, magnesium is involved. So it fuels your enzymes. It helps you make melatonin. It helps all the enzymes that are involved in cleansing and detox work. Even to build and manufacture enzymes, you need magnesium. Everything is related to the energy produced in the cells.
When you're saying enzymes, you mean the enzyme systems, not like most people think digestive enzymes. You're talking about the enzyme systems of the body.
So all the proteins in your body. Proteins include hormones. So enzymes in the body are the doing chemicals. They get things done. They build and they break things apart. They're the changes. And hormones are also changes, but they're proteins as well. And collagen, which makes up the structure of the body. So the skin, hair, nails, bones, teeth, all the structures are made of collagen structures. They're another protein. Every time you assemble proteins, you're using magnesium in the process. So magnesium is absolutely integral to life itself. It's as important as water and sleep. And so during sleep, magnesium is used a lot to rest and recover. It helps make neurotransmitters such as GABA. So I was mentioning before about the adenosine that triggers nitric oxide to relax the whole vascular system. The blood pressure drops and it helps GABA go across the blood-brain barrier. And GABA is gamma aminobutyric acid, which is a neurotransmitter that makes us feel super calm and relaxed. And that helps you give into the sleep, the deep sleep cycle. And so magnesium helps make that, helps transport it. Everything in the process involves magnesium because it's part of the energy system in the bodies. Plugging into a PowerPoint. Think of magnesium like a PowerPoint.
It's so important about the GABA because I have had patients over the decades who were suffering from low GABA and didn't know it. And one of the things addicts don't realize is that they're craving nicotine or sugary fatty foods
or alcohol.
Alcohol
occupies the GABA receptors artificially.
Right. So they're raising their GABA with alcohol. And then I never understood why in AA, they just don't give them a GABA supplement. They just say, stop the alcohol. And then they start doing a lot of sugar and fatty foods to substitute for the
and so when they have alcohol withdrawals, they get jittery and the muscles do involuntary twitches and they get hyper and they pace back and forth. They get like psychotic. That's because the body's stress hormones are like gone berserk and there's nothing to calm them down. Where's the GABA?
And the magnesium is the precursor for the GABA, So there you go. So what about the microbiome? Because the microbiome has to be connected here to the difficulty with sleep. So you want to talk about a disturbed microbiome and how it affects our sleep?
Well, first of all, your microbiome is in charge of maintaining your digestive system, particularly in the gut, and digesting the food that goes through. So when you eat, you have to inject stomach acid to digest and pull apart the proteins, and all the nutrients you consume have to be broken up into smaller pieces and are mulched up into chyme. And once the chyme is like a soft enough slurry, it can't pass through to the small intestine unless bicarb soda is injected to neutralize the acids. It brings it up to a kind of neutral, and then it moves to the next stage, which is a small intestine, and that absorbs, small intestine absorbs a lot of nutrients. So if you haven't digested your food properly because you've been under too much stress, you mightn't be able to pull all the good nutrients out of the food at that stage. And then it passes through, and you might have some undigested food, and you might have some lower pH, which then attracts pathogenic bacteria or fungus like Candida. And they are opportunistic. So they come in when the environment and their house is really nice for them. They come in and eat the food that you haven't digested properly. They eat your resources. And they produce more acids, and the acids erode away the gut lining, and they can cause irritable bowel syndrome and leaky gut and all sorts of issues. And also the good microbiome, the beneficial bacteria, if they're in control, they keep the nasties under control, and they are more or less preserve a good environment. They look after the lining of your gut, which should have a gelatinous lining and be kind of insulated, but still absorbing nutrients. And they are also responsible for motility and detoxing, and then triggering your peristalsis when you're finished doing what you need to do with the food to get rid of it. So we depended on a good microbiome for extracting the nutrients, looking after the bowel, and then they produce over 90% of our neurotransmitters, right, which then go into the brain.
There you go.
And if we have too many nasties.
Right. So we, they used to say it was 75% of the neurotransmitters are formed in the gut. Then it was 80. Now you're saying 90%.
Yeah. Yep.
Up the number. And so the neurotransmitters that are formed in the gut are responsible for your mood and for your hormones, your sleep hormones. So if your gut's messed up, you're not making the right hormones for sleep.
That's right. Everything is dysregulated, disrupted. And so, and that includes, we get out of sync with the circadian rhythms. And then we go for stimulants, and, too much coffee, too much sugar. We go for snack foods. If we're on night shift as well, people may be like driven to sleep, and in order to fight it, they're constantly eating. But that's when your metabolism is at its lowest ebb. So we eat to try and stay awake, but we're not using the fuel that's going in. And what happens is we put it on as fat, as adipose tissue around the hips and the tummy.
What's so crazy. My mother is like a vampire. She goes to sleep when the sun rises. She eats lunch at 11 o'clock at night, and her dinner is in the middle of the night. You would expect her to be obese. She's very thin. I think she's very thin because she has parasites, right? So they're eating a lot of her nutrients. But she has always been thin her whole life, and she's always maintained this very late cycle. What do you make? And she's not over. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, there are people that are more nocturnal. Maybe she was a cat in a previous lifetime.
Maybe she's in this life. I don't know. But that's cat hours. Yeah.
So if metabolism is very high, this is often associated with hyperthyroidism, like the thyroid is like going in overdrive.
And she has low thyroid.
So is she using stimulants a lot?
There you go. She is a sugar burner, and she drinks coffee. Yeah. And she has to give herself energy, and sugar hits. And
well, it's a short-term fix, but eventually it catches up, and damage is being done. And so people like that are able to mask it for a while, and then suddenly out of the blue, they get very, very sick. Dementia sets in. The brain hasn't had time to recover. Good. All of the garbage has to go somewhere, and it reaches a point of critical mass.
Brain.
And you can't deal with it anymore.
Let's take a break, because I have to take a break. I need a power break. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, it's Dr. J.B. Turndorf here. Are you feeling stressed, tense, jumpy, jittery, anxious, or having panic attacks or angry outbursts or disturbed sleep? Are you worried that you or someone you love is going to get sick or even die? Are you depressed and feeling hopeless like the world is coming to an end? Or are you suffering aches and pains or stiff muscles, low energy, or falling into self-damaging or addictive behaviors like binging on junk food, the internet, or TV, or abusing drugs or alcohol, or not eating right, or exercising, feeling like, what's the point? If you said yes to any of my questions, you are likely suffering what I call the global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. Don't despair. My energetic system upgrade is your rescue remedy for the panic epidemic that is plaguing our world. The energetic system upgrade has already helped some of today's top leaders. Now you can experience your own energetic system upgrade healing transformation. To find out more and to schedule your session, visit drjamieturndorf.com/energetic system upgrade. That's Dr. Jamie Turndorf, TURNDORF.com/energetic system upgrade.
Love Never Dies is now on the Dream Vision 7 radio network every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love, is the #1 international best-selling author of Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, tune in and find out how to reconnect and heal any unfinished business using Dr. Turndorf's groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique. Visit AskDrLove.com to find out more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's #1 international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, will show you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit without the assistance of a medium, channeler, or psychic. Sign up for Dr. Love's free newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive an exciting gift, a free excerpt of Love Never Dies. And now, back to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Hello again. Welcome back to Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks TV. I'm talking with Sandy Sanderson about how you can get some decent sleep. We were talking about the bowel and how 90% of our neurotransmitters are formed in the bowel. And one of the things I was thinking about was the blood sugar. You know how when people have irregular blood sugar, that can also disrupt sleep. You know, when you have a low blood sugar crash and you wake up, your adrenaline starts pumping. So what about that?
Yes. So when blood sugar drops, people move into a panic. So for people with metabolic syndrome or diabetes, they have insulin resistance. So what normally should happen is that the insulin released accompanies their glucose, and it should go through the cell wall for the mitochondria to then use it and make energy. And magnesium is involved because it sits in the cell membrane to open the channels and help the transition inside. And then you make energy you should be making energy better or more efficiently when oxygen is present. So this system can, so when you eat a lot of sugar, you make your system more acidic, which means you can't absorb enough oxygen into the cells. And that then interferes with the efficiency of your energy production. So you only get, with sugar metabolism, only 2 ATP energy molecules But when oxygen is present, you can get 30 to 36 energy molecules. So you get a lot more bang for your buck when oxygen is present.
So sugar burning doesn't give you all the ATP molecules. So the alternative is to be a fat burner, right?
Yes.
Sugar
so
burner.
You get more energy release. So what happens with people with diabetes, they're consuming fuel, but it's not being used properly. And so it can't stay in the blood. So it goes to the liver. The liver makes fat cells out of it. And so in order to switch that, we need to be exposing ourselves to more oxygen, and you can't get oxygen in whilst the pH is too low. So oxygen absorption is very pH dependent. So that's why we need an alkaline system in the cells, as also the blood plasma. It should be around 7.25 to 7.35, so a little bit more alkaline.
Okay, so talk to me like I'm a dummy, and this is okay. So we don't want to be sugar burners. We don't want to fuel or get energy from carbs because it produces too much acid waste. So it's better if we fuel on fat. But I know you say that the fat waste, the byproducts of the fat consumption that we eat, produce acidic waste. So even how do we not end up in the same bind? I mean, I've seen where people can do keto diets with lots more vegetables to try to combat the acid byproducts of the fat we consume. Do you see what I'm saying? How do you not end up with too much fat, low oxygen, and the same problem?
So every cell is a little factory, and in order to produce energy to do anything, you have acidic byproducts. And so normally acidic byproducts have electron deficit. So they're hungry like Pac-Men. They're looking to steal electrons from other tissue that have electrons. And that's how acids degrade and pull things apart and dissolve stuff. So they're called free radicals, and they cause free radical damage to cells. So to avoid the tissue cells, the good cells, to be damaged by the acids, we have antioxidants. We have electron donors with surplus electrons that neutralize the acid. So that body is always balancing its pH all the time. So if you have a buildup of acids, you need a lot of antioxidants to help sweep them out, to help clean out the mess and eliminate them and bring you back to homeostasis and equilibrium. What happens is, though, that we in this world we live in this very manufactured world with a lot of chemicals like glyphosate, and fluoride, they block our good nutrients like magnesium, and then we don't get enough in the food supply either. Especially if we're under a lot of stress, we need very high amounts of magnesium and other antioxidants, your vitamin C, your proanthocyanins. There are lots of really good in vegetables, in fruits, antioxidants that we can use to compensate. So in a diet, you want to have your fats, your proteins, and your complex carbohydrates, which are vegetables, which deliver lots of enzymes and vitamins and minerals, and all of these help clean cells. They help clean out the mess and increase the motility, and they feed your good microbiome. They're called prebiotics. So we get our hard logs in the fire, if you like, from the protein and the fats, and we have our kindling fuel from the vegetables, and they both need to go together to make our good metabolic fires. But when we're not putting the good resources in, things can get lopsided. So you can get chemicals blocking the nutrients, or you don't get enough nutrients, or you can get very depleted foods that are overly processed. For lots of reasons these days, we don't get enough nutrition, which causes a lot of problems. So we need our sleep vitamins, but we also need to put the good nutrients in so that at nighttime, when your body's rebuilding, repairing, cleaning, it's got the resources in the fridge ready to use which means your digestive system during the day has to have been working well to extract those nutrients. If you have digestive issues, then use transdermal magnesium because you don't have to digest the magnesium from that source. It's very easily absorbable through the skin, and it makes you feel very calm and relaxed. So the first thing you need to do, step one in your health regime, is make sure you can relax, because that's the time where you digest better, you go into a better sleep, and during the better sleep, you build and repair and clean out mess. So you need to have your environment right. And I'm talking about your internal cellular environment. So that your body, see, it's got a program, the DNA, the genes, your body knows what to do. But if it doesn't have the materials to work with, and if you go against its normal circadian rhythms and create too much stress, that then overpowers the other mechanisms, and then you end up with problems and overload, and you burn yourself out.
So you're saying you need to have a good way of powering down and going into parasympathetic mode as opposed to sympathetic fight flight. You need to rest, you need to meditate, you need to breathe more deeply, you need to even humming, right? The sound healing and humming, which helps put us into a more restful state. You need to also put in good nutrients, but the nutrients should not be so carb heavy. It should be more balanced, protein and fat and vegetables. And if you really have problems and you're prone to metabolic syndrome, you should really have much less carbs, right? So that you're—
Yes, and that includes bread and pasta, wheat products, or all the grains are treated by the body like they were sugar. You may as well be eating sugar by eating the grains.
And they're irritating to the gut also, you know.
Yes, because they create more acid because it's the sugar metabolism.
Right. So basically, so you know how I fuel on fat. My metabolism works better on fat. So then I have to be very careful then to put in more antioxidants to alkalize the acidic byproducts of the fat burning.
Yes, and to make sure you drink enough water. A lot of people today don't drink enough. So you need electrolyte water. So your mineral water with the electrolytes, you can put magnesium in there as well. A little bit of bicarb soda if you're finding you're getting acid reflux. Don't have the bicarb in this at the same time you're trying to digest food, because it's going to neutralize your stomach acid. But during the day when you're not eating, drink lots and lots of mineral water, because the body really gets refreshed with water, and it does a good job at neutralizing acids as well, because you're diluting everything and then you pee it out. And it's gone, and your system is refreshed. We need to drink more water. People don't do enough water these days. I ask sometimes, how much water are you drinking? Oh, I drink a few glasses. It's really not enough. The average adult needs 3 liters every 24 hours.
That's peeing in the ocean. 3 glasses. Now, that's another English expression. Peeing in the ocean means a drop in the bucket. It's not enough. Peeing in the ocean, it's nothing. Right. 3 liters. And then people complain, well, I have to go to the toilet all the time. Well, better
There's enough minerals in the water, because the water passes through the system more slowly if it's got the electrolytes present, because the cells open up when they detect the electrolytes. When the magnesium's in there, they suck up more water, inflate, and they flush out more wastes. When you don't have minerals in the water, such as with rainwater or reverse osmosis filtered, when all the minerals are removed, demineralized, it basically passes through the digestive system very quickly without accessing the tissue cells like we need. And so we're peeing every half hour, but when the minerals are present, it goes through more slowly because it's accessing the cells much better. And so minerals and water are everything to the metabolic system, energy production. We need to have in our little energy factories water, minerals, in addition to the food that we eat. Water and minerals help clean and detox and dilute the wastes. And so it's easily manageable.
Electromagnetic.
How do you rinse your dishes in the sink? You need water.
Yeah. So, and the electromagnesium flakes, they're the flakes with the horse.
Yes. So if you want to, so we have a food grade magnesium chloride, and you just take a little pinch per liter bottle. I don't know how many ounces that is. You have to convert 1 liter. It's a big bottle. 1 pinch is about, if you weighed it, 0.5 gram, which has 80 milligram of magnesium. So all you're doing is mimicking what would be in spring water coming down from the mountains, like natural spring water, which is how humanity has evolved over millennia, from drinking from mountain streams and eating the plants that we grow from the water that comes from the mountain streams that are loaded with the minerals. We need the minerals in the water.
We could talk for 10 hours. We have 3 minutes left, and I want to make sure that you leave everyone with the parting information you want to know about how to use your magnesium to improve all the functions, including and most especially the sleep, and of course, how to find you and how to find your special electromagnesium. So
if you have a lot of articles and videos on our website, so you're quite welcome to come and check everything out. electramagnesium.com.au, that's with a K, so it's the girl's name, Elektra, ELEKTRA, and then magnesium.com.au, because we're in Australia. We're on the other side of your planet, but we're very connected now. And if you have a question, feel free to email me. I would love to hear from you. So basically, when you want to get a good night's sleep, prepare your environment, have your magnesium foot soak. You can put the lotion and the cream all over you. It's a beautiful moisturizer, great for your skin, very anti-aging, and it's very calming. There is something different concentrations, something for the whole family, from babies to teenage adults, elderly people. You know, it's great to massage in if you have arthritis and stuck joints or stiff muscles, or you've been working out a lot, helps you recover faster. So many wonderful benefits from absorbing it through the skin, and it works very quickly because there's nothing to digest. So do that to get a deep sleep. And you can put it on during the day as well. It really doesn't matter what time of the day. The body stores magnesium in reserves. It has cellular reserves, because you don't want to run out. You want your fuel tank full. So you need to keep topping up every day, because we're using it up every day. The more stress you have, the more you use up magnesium. It's lost in the urine. The more stress you have, the more you lose in the urine. So you can't make a mistake. It's just all natural, no drugs or chemicals in there. All we're doing is putting a nutrient in a different pathway other than digesting and by eating.
And to sleep, you recommend putting the cream on the calves and the soles, and then spraying with the spritz oil over for like a time release sleep aid, and it works wonders.
Yes, so the fats combined with the magnesium, it gets sucked into the skin layer, because the skin is lipophilic, it loves fats, and it sits there for several hours like a reservoir, like a dinner plate, and the body absorbs it over time in its own time at the rate it needs to. It's always in control. The body has a homeostatic mechanism to regulate that. So you're not pushing anything in unnaturally.
I'm so sorry we have to stop, but we'll continue. I'm inviting you back every month, because magnesium is really at the heart of it all, including love. Speaking of Dr. Love, it fires the heart, it fires the brain, fires 1,040 enzymatic systems. We need magnesium to be open-hearted and to function and to sleep. So you'll be back. Everyone, just get your magnesium on, and I will see you next time on Love Never Dies Radio. Dr. Turndorf, turn on the love. Thank you again, Sandy.
Thanks, Jamie.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.